understandable as a human. So, for instance, like there's a little scene about when he was a child, he asks for cookie, and then there's a mother figure who is much larger, but he talks about a mother is the source of love, and so from there I try to focus on his relationship between mother and him, and there's several scenes that their relationship is hopefully evident, and also that constitute kind of person he might be, and the gentleness of his is coming from mother's love and how she has treated him and their relationship, which I hope everybody can relate to.
Maybe I hate to get away. I mean, I'd still like to learn more about the physical development of the character too. But as long as you brought that up about the relationship with the mother, I thought there must have been a moment you learn from his writings when, I guess, from my Catholic background, you'd say there's a calling. If you get a calling to be a priest or a nun. He must have had a moment that he realized that was his direction or focus, and then maybe another trigger event where he maybe realized he needed to do something about the situation of the division between the country. Do you sort of address those as personal moments where he believed that he needed to follow a direction that maybe?
Yeah, he knew from his young age that he wanted to help others, and then especially living in Vietnam, the country was always at war from the French occupation and the Japanese coming in, and then before that Chinese occupation and also U.S. involvement. So the country was constantly at war, and so he chose Buddhism as a way to reach out. And what makes him so unique is, I think, unlike the traditional Zen and Buddhism, which is you go within, and the Buddha nature is every one of us, and then to realize that that's how makes you an enlightened being. But for him, that wasn't enough. He took his learning and the Buddhism to like an everyday activity. That's where the peace starts. And so yes, his calling was becoming a Buddhist, and he knew that from a long time ago. But then he went much farther than traditional Buddhism. So social engagement was a big part of this Buddhism, and also his genius of his brand of Buddhism, engaged Buddhism, is like everything we do, say doing dishes, he asks us to do it mindfully. So only thing you're doing is that you and the water and the dishes. So you do it as peaceful as possible, and from that, the seed of peace and mindfulness, you will be able to achieve that peace in your community and among your friends or at nation, world. Yeah.
That's a form of meditation.
Yeah, that's what I learned from Thai. So.
Then the other characters that come into his life that are part of the play, who did you choose to be part of that?
Him, everybody call him Thai, which is a teacher for Vietnamese. And Thai, according with his guidance, there's so many nuns and monks who helped to shape this engaged Buddhism, And so I have focused on some of the students. For instance, Sister Chong Kong, we call her Miss Fong, because she doesn't become a nun until 1988. So during this show, she has long hair still, but at heart, she was a nun. She chose not to take that traditional route, and so she is almost as prominent as Thai himself in this story, because he was in the U.S. Speaking out what's happening in Vietnam, because that was the root of this war, which is in the U.S. So he realized that that's why he came to this country. And during his absence, Sister Chong Kong, Miss Fong, was a kind of a leading person. And also some of the students, one of the students is Brother Tree, who was helping young ones, teaching some of the songs, and so I focus on that. And also another person is Sister Mai, who is one of the 6 students that Thai was putting so much energy towards, and she eventually immolated herself, burning, and that's part of the show. And I don't talk much about her, but in terms of there's a whole sequence that there's a recording of Martin Luther King Jr. Starting from the Thai and Martin Luther King Jr. meeting in the United States, and then his whole speech reaches beyond Vietnam, and then the whole sequence goes to Vietnam, and then Sister Mai burning herself, and as a big, this call for peace, I guess.
Was part of the reason you did this that it relates so much to today?
I think, yeah. I mean, like I said in the beginning, this whole notion of to have a peace, you just can't have that, fighting or attacking somebody. There's no way that's how we can achieve peace. And it's just a fundamental, as a society, we require that fundamental change. Martin Luther King spoke, and the Gandhi, and the Thai. I think it's a basic thing, but to help others, we just have to love others, and then that help has to come from that love. So
it's not a political. No. You don't build a political voice before you have a one that's inherently from the self. Or something.
In a way, it is political, but not in the traditional sense. It's a human level. It's just it's a fundamental,
a social justice sort of a thing. Yeah.